Another guest, another guest, Madhu Kela. Madhu,
Yeah.
a
Hi,
big day for your best hunting ground. Big spike in PSU stocks. So let's talk about that first.
Yeah. I
Banks
think,
especially, and your favorite Canara Bank.
Mahalakshmi, I would say that, it was an event which was, in a way, a little special because we were in an election year. And, it would have been expected that they will be far more populistic than what they have been. But their intent to curtail the fiscal deficit this year and also give a 2 year guidance that it will be at 4.5% is actually very, very heartening from a overall market and as well as from a country perspective, because this will lead to reasonable amount of borrowing. This will lead to reasonable amount of liquidity being left for banks and private sector companies to look for their requirement of capital. So that is one very positive thing which I could get from this budget. The other thing is basically continuation of all the good work which has happened in the last 10 years, whether it is on the housing front, whether it is on the infrastructure, whether it is on power. So basically continuation. And third, the when I looked detail into numbers, they are all very credible numbers. So it's like any corporate which has done well, under promise and overperform. I think they've got the formula right. So they are actually really outperforming whatever they are saying for last 3-4 years. And fourth, I would say, is stability of taxes, which again is very important. That for last few years there is no tinkering, and wherever there is a tinkering, it is only positive. So all in all, as event passed by, that the importance of budget from a market perspective is diminishing. So this is an event which will last for 2 days, and we are back to basics.
I agree, and that's how it should be, right? In mature economies and markets, you shouldn't have too much policy tinkering. But is there a lot of juice left in banks now, with the with the yield curve itself falling sizably, about 10 basis points? Will you prefer still only the PSU banks, banking in general? Your thoughts, and in particular HDFC Bank?
Lata, I would not comment on a particular bank person, but I would say this: my 30 years of market, if you look at last 3 year performance of the overall bank nifty as well as a lot of private sector banks, right? What has happened? PSU banks by margin have outperformed, by margin I'm saying, significantly as compared with their private sector peers. So that's point number one. I am a big believer in markets and its trends. Like, my opinion has a very finite value, but what market is doing has infinite value.
Okay.
Second, when I look at public sector bank, are they overvalued today? A lot of public sector companies are trading at 30, 40, 50 PE multiple. Public sector banks are still below 5 PE. If I take a 2 year forward view. So either that portion of the market is significantly overvalued and that has to correct significantly, or they have to correct to come to some median level. I'm not trying to compare a defense company with a public sector bank in terms of PE multiple, but still there has to be some resemblance, right? Third, all the worry which was there vis-a-vis public sector banks, whether it is governance, technology, credit cost. Lata, I meet these people very often. It's actually a delight to go and meet them. They are talking the language which any other good private sector bank is talking. Whether it is in terms of technology, whether BCG and people like them advising them. So I think these banks are not peaked out at 4-5 PE multiple. There is still some way to go for them.
Okay, that's extremely
Madhu,
positive for those who haven't come in.
divestment number has come in at 50,000 crores. And of course, we don't know, where this money is going to come from, what stakes will get sold down, etc. This is a question that has been confounding me. I mean, if we were to have a lot of supply from the government, I mean, and that comes through the OFS route or gets sold down from the ETF route, do you see some kind of value destruction or a threat of any sort that could abort the PSU value? I mean, we have experienced this before, so I can't not ask that question.
No, please ask. Mahalakshmi, let's put things in context. 3.5 years back, the value of all public sector companies put together was less than 13 lakh crores. Today, it is more than 50 lakh crores. I repeat, more than 50 lakh crores. This is the only sector which has actually gone up 4 times. Sector as a whole, right? And they are clearly the leader of this bull market. Mahalakshmi, 50 lakh crore rupees mein, if you divest 50,000 crore rupees, do you think it is going to make any impact? Or any meaningful, long-lasting impact? In fact, I obviously don't have any information, but my judgment tells that, the government somewhere has understood that if they truly unlock value of this public sector enterprises, that is what can give them enormous animation to do good things, whether in infrastructure or housing. Today, the government wealth has gone up if on let's say 13 lakh crores, if you owned 60%, the value of your holding was 7 lakh crores. On 50 lakh crores, if you own 60%, the value of your holding is 30 lakh crore rupees, right? So if the government comes with a full majority and they decide to divest, couple of these companies, then I think this number in 2025, 26 and 26, 27 will be much, much larger. If not, at least the dividend income itself will be much larger. So I do not think the divestment of 50,000 crores will have any meaningful impact or there will be any re-rating in public sector companies.
No, do you see value in any of the other PSUs, Madhu, apart from banks?
So Mahalakshmi, we are carefully examining. We find value in some oil companies. Right, they are quite attractively valued. I obviously feel in the short term there is a little bit of valuation discomfort in railway and even in select defense stock. But I think there is still value in some pockets in the PSU. And if what my judgment is, if they truly come and divest even 2 or 3 companies in the next 12 months, I think there is still long leg. And obviously we will all change our opinion, including me, and we'll start looking at PSU companies from a different lens.
It's a long tangle. They have not been able to bring the PSU banks under the Companies Act. So at the moment, it's still a huge 51% held by the government, and therefore the CVC, the courts, the whole attitude is different. The CVC looks at them, the CAG looks at them. So it will take a bit of legal changes before the PSU banks can be divested. So we have to, I think, distinguish the PSU bank story from the divestment story.
Correct.
No.
Exactly, I take your point. Exactly.
I did not mean that public sector banks will get divested. But it is entirely possible that shipping corporation may get divested.
Correct.
May get divested.
Correct.
Which has been pending for last 5 years.
Yeah.
No, I take your point. I take your point that we should not attach it to the banks. The banks are attractive as good businesses that are undervalued.
So you were saying railways is
exactly.
You're not comfortable with valuations in railways? Is that
what about one of the companies I want to add to her list, BEML, because there is an announcement of 40,000 bogies to be converted into Vande Bharat style bogies. Would you make a distinction on some of the railway stocks? Are all of them overvalued?
No, I am not comfortable, Lata. I manage my own money. I am finding a lot of value in other pockets in the market. I am not comfortable investing at these levels in railway stocks.
Okay. Which other? You are finding value in other pockets. That was a great giveaway question. Which others?
So I think we are still looking at a lot of infrastructure companies, specifically in the EPC space.
Okay.
We are positive in select financial stocks. Even we are looking at 2-3 private banks which are very attractively valued. Smaller private banks. We are looking at pharma companies. I think if you look at the pharma companies' result in the last 2-3 quarters, distinctive improvement, and all large cap pharma companies have made their life high, and it is one sector which in a way has kind of underperformed. So I think on a bottom up basis, Lata, there is still a lot of opportunities in this market. And what the new change which we have brought in, Lata, I'll just take a minute. When we do research and when we execute, these are two completely different timings. So we have to completely do our research and be ready. And markets keep obliging because of volatility, and you keep getting your entry points.
Okay. Is IT an entry point?
Selectively, yes.
Oh.
We have invested in 2 or 3 mid-sized IT companies, and surprisingly, Lata, it has done far better than what I would have expected they will do.
Okay, that's good.
What's your take on Paytm, Madhu? Not a question we can't ask today.
No, Mahalakshmi is a regulatory issue. What can I comment on it? Let the regulator and the company come and clarify. I don't think it is something. It's fair on my part to comment on this.
Okay, then can I give you a related stock, PB Fintech? Well, not related. It's not a bank, but PB Fintech has reported fairly decent numbers. Any thoughts?
It's a company which has done well, and I think they have delivered on their promise. Lata will refrain from talking on individual companies. I'm sorry, from a compliance perspective, I would stick to the broader things.
So, in terms of all the segments the finance minister talked about today, for example, I think dairy we didn't pick up at all. She sort of talked about the dairy sector and expanding capacities in the dairy sector. Do you care for some of those stocks, Dodla or Heritage?
The only point which I picked up, Mahalakshmi, today, obviously it looks like a really large inclusive growth. If you look at her opening statement, what all is being achieved in the last 10 years, it makes you really bullish on India, right? Because when you look at year on year, you don't realize what is the kind of quantum of work which has happened. But the only statement which I could pick up, there seems to be tremendous potential on the tourism sector, right? And they are starting to talk about religious tourism now. Whether it is Ayodhya or Ujjain or going now to Vaishno Devi or, to southern parts. I think there might be some hidden jewel out there in the tourism side, whether it is on the services or on the asset side. We will look deeper into this sector.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry, you talked about pharma, Madhu. You've always been very bullish on pharma. Now, as an overall opportunity, pharma, we've talked about this multiple times in the past, as a longer term trend, it continues to be a very small portion of the index. Do you see that expanding? Do you see that story finally changing? Do we have the conditions for that to happen?
No, it is already happening, Mahalakshmi, compared to where we were 10 years back. Let me give you a context. When we became bullish in pharma sector in 2009, the value of the entire pharma sector was half the valuation of DLF. DLF was 2 lakh crore rupees, and the entire pharma sector was 1 lakh crore rupees.
Correct.
That 1 lakh crore market cap, now we have moved to more than 10 lakh crore market cap, right? So, in a way, it has done well in a medium long term, and I remain very, very positive on the sector, given that what is happening geopolitically, our ability to prove in the COVID time that we can actually do something like a vaccine for such a big disease in matter of 12 or 18 months. So I think there will be pockets of opportunity, including the domestic opportunity. So it's a very large basket, Mahalakshmi. Trust me, there are lot of companies where money will be made here.
Sure. And just quickly, your top 3 bets today from from this year's perspective.
My biggest bet is India and markets, Mahalakshmi. I think
that is not going to change ever.
As my guru Rakesh Jhunjhunwala used to say, that this is a buffet out here. You eat what you want to eat. Just remember that you don't overeat, right? So it's a market which is not like, you can't say top 1 or 2 or 3. It's a market which is bottom up. We have to do our work. The opportunity is wide. And I repeat again, which I said it in your channel, to my mind, it's an Amrit Kal for the next 5 years for equities. So obviously there will be some corrections in between, and the correction is the only hope for investors now. That if someone has not bought equity, correction is the only hope.
Sure. That's all really. Madhu, thank you so much for your time.